Namaste, I'm Shivani Thapa Bosnath with you with a special edition of NTV Talk series. Now, with so much going on with the global dynamics, every aspect of the global dynamics, and then there are episodes of unprecedented disruptions worldwide, key stakeholders feel the need to upscaling collaboration and, of course, fostering cooperation at all levels. It's a time, especially with concerns to economy and overall development, poorer economies cannot be ignored. And this very context and concern has brought together high representatives from across 65 countries of the world to Kathmandu, which has certainly stolen the spotlight in the region and beyond. And to chair this very, very crucial meeting or engagement, that's the third IDA 21 Replenishment meeting of the World Bank, we have here in town the Senior Managing Director of World Bank himself, Mr. Axel Van Trotsenburg. It's a pleasure to have invited him to the studio for this conversation today. Mr. Trotsenburg, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let us begin with a quick overview of the third IDA 21 Replenishment meeting of the World Bank, and more specifically, what does it mean for Nepal and the entire South Asian region?
Well, the World Bank provides development financing for countries across the world, from Latin America to Asia to Africa to Central Asia, Middle East. And the financing comes from two channels. One are the normal channels where countries get commercial terms, but other countries will need more concessional money, meaning they need long-term repayment periods, and they need also below market interest rates, because this is important for the level of income they have, but also for debt sustainability concerns. One of the fund that provides those resources is called the International Development Association. It was created in 1960 and is being replenished every 3 years by the donor community. And since that time, we have seen solidarity and generosity that amounted to almost $320 billion. So it's quite a lot of money that has been provided to countries across the world, including Nepal. And this year, we are again replenishing, and we want to be even more ambitious. At this stage, we have developed this fund to a very large one. Currently, we are managing $93 billion, which is large, and it benefits about 78 countries around the world. And in South Asia, there are countries like Nepal as one of the beneficiaries, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, just to name a few. And so this money is really meant to help countries complement their development efforts in the social areas, education, health, but also, for example, in infrastructure that can be in road building, clean water, or, for example, in the energy area. And in all these areas, there are enormous needs. We know that globally, the so-called Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations are off track, and many more investments need to come. And certainly, IDA is, in this context, extremely important, and we can make a difference as long as we all work together.
How upbeat do you think Nepal should be that this event is taking place here in its capital, Kathmandu?
I think it's an important one, because what we would like to indicate is that this fund is global, and there are countries that benefit here in Asia, but there are also countries in Latin America. Think of a country like Haiti, but also countries in Africa. Right now, the majority of the resources go to Africa, but it is not an African fund. It is a global fund. And in South Asia, a lot of resources are going. And we feel always it's important to show how this type of money, but ultimately partnerships can make a difference. And we have been here in Nepal with these resources from the World Bank, the concessional resources over the last 60 years. And so what we want to signal also always is, A, the World Bank is a long-term partner. B, we really cherish the partnership, again, long-term, in the good times and in the challenging time. So that when, for example, a crisis hit, like the earthquake, like COVID, we can be here as a strong partner in times of need.
Kathmandu certainly has kept you very, very busy. We understand, like, you've met the Prime Minister right on the day you arrived. That was followed by a meeting with the Finance Minister, and I'm sure many more have followed. What did you reap from these face-to-faces, or more specifically, how do the objectives discussed with Nepal's leadership align with the World Bank's broader strategy for the region?
Well, first of all, the visit with the Prime Minister and with the Minister of Finance was also an occasion to thank Nepal for kindly offering and now hosting this event. It is always nice when a country steps forward and says it can offer, but it is also a good opportunity to share a little bit the development path of the country, what it has done and achieved over the decades, but also how the cooperation with the World Bank works. So, for example, tomorrow we will have also the opportunity to visit some projects that we have supported here in Nepal, so that actually also the donors can see firsthand the degree of cooperation, but also the results on this. I think what is very positive is that a lot on the development agenda is very much also aligned what is being discussed here in Kathmandu with the donors. It is about the longer term development, it is the growth agenda, it's the job agenda, providing jobs, particularly for young people, so that they have a better chance in the future, but also a lot on infrastructure that can be on basic infrastructure that has range from water to electricity to also transport, as well as then the social sectors, health, education. And there is actually very much a consensus between the bank and Nepal about the long-term, direction in which the country should go. And so that was very important that also the Prime Minister articulated that. But it was also then equally important for this kind of events. It's not only one country that it is, namely to really make the case for all the 78 countries. So it's also an expression of the solidarity. It's also to look beyond only one's own border, but how we together as an international community can work hand in hand with the government and the people in their development aspirations. And this is always, I think, a very nice occasion, because countries like Nepal have been strong partners with the bank. And what is also good is that there has been very good cooperation across the board, so that it is we work closely with other development partners, with the government, and in that sense we have an actually very effective coordination here in this country. And I often mentioned that is a good example for other countries to see how the government coordinates together with the World Bank and with other development partners, ultimately to achieve long-term development goals.
Certainly, but this is a time when things are not really getting easy for any nation in the world or any region, right? So even though there is this element of global element to IDA 21, this event happening here has certainly come with a new zeal and spirit to the entire region. So if we come back to the conference itself, could you shed light on the primary investment priorities of World Bank in Nepal and in the South Asia region itself under the IDA 21 replenishment?
Well, on the IDA 21, that is too early because we are negotiating. Here we are negotiating the strategic directions, as well as we'll have discussions about the possible envelope we would like to mobilize, and then really also the whole engagement and the results that we would like to achieve. We have been clearly discussing about, in these discussions with donors, what is always important, that we are looking at key development priorities. An interesting one is in virtually all countries, beneficiary countries, there is the concern about the digital divide, to narrow this. Whether that one is here in Nepal or elsewhere, everybody is working on it, and we agree this is very important as a development there. Secondly, energy. Energy, particularly on the energy transition. Nepal has unbelievable natural resources, so it is blessed with that. Not everybody has this, but it is important to provide access to electricity to its own population. This is particularly important in Africa, but in Nepal you have the added potential that it could export energy on the. Another important area is where we're talking about climate change. Unfortunately, all countries, and particularly low-income countries, have been disproportionately affected by climate change. How can we actually adjust to this? These are important topics that are being discussed. Clearly, we're also learning in the health area the fact that COVID had a devastating experience on all countries. In the case of Nepal, it was one of the countries that succeeded in vaccinating its population fairly quickly. Compared to others, it was very well done. One of the lessons we are learning is we need to prepare ourselves against any future new crisis. That is also an element, is particularly crisis preparedness, how we are better prepared. These are all type of topics where we are having the discussions already in the last 2 days about this. A final important thing is the empowerment of women, that many countries could do even better if they would empower women. And in many countries, including also in Nepal, the participation of women in the workforce is still relatively low. If that were to increase, you could immensely increase the economic potential. And so what we are also talking, when we are talking about growth prospect, then these are, for example, things that are being discussed not only here but elsewhere as well. And this will be important in our support programs in the next couple of years. Now, in terms then how we would support a country like Nepal, is not that we have the ideas. What we do is we really try to to be part of the development strategy of the country, so that basically we can accompany the country, but not come that we are going to tell the country what to do, but it is more how can we actually accompany you in the development aspirations. And so it will depend on the priorities that are defined by the government, then that we can respond to it and then develop the different programs. And that dialogue, I have to say, has been very, very good.
And coming to that very how question that you just mentioned herein, we're having this conversation at a point of time where no nation in this world can think about succeeding development or prosperity or achieving its goal alone, right? It's a time when one incident in one part has a repercussions elsewhere in the world, and regional collaboration and integration has never been so important until this age. So as a stakeholder, key stakeholder who has been in the forefront in leading nations realize their visions or their goals, what could be your insights on how South Asia as a region could spearhead regional collaboration in terms of trade and economic prosperity?
So this is an excellent observation, because this is, in many parts in the world, a similar concern is regional integration, cooperation. And we very much agree that there is an untapped potential. And it's not only in South Asia, it is also in other parts. I lived long in Latin America. That was an eternal discussion. Europe is a big thing. Now Africa, African heads of state concluded the African Free Trade Agreement. So there are many continents, subcontinents, that are trying to see how one can actually integrate better and exploit each other's advantages, so that actually it provides real benefits to the people. We believe that this is ultimately a great way of improving the well-being and incomes of. It is also probably a very good form of getting to know each other, and ultimately it strengthens peaceful development. So we have been strong supporters. Now you may then ask, well, how does that translate into IDA? Actually, what we have in this whole envelope of financial support, we have a little, it's not so little, it's $10 billion, so it's not so little, but that provides additional resources apart from the base allocation countries get, that would provide, if you wish, some incentive money for regional integration project. And that can be in the energy, it can be in the transport area, can be also in the area of, for example, health cooperation, that you have a regional initiative for pandemic preparedness that deserves also financial support on this. So these are the parts where we think there is a huge source of possibilities, and we think it would be great that these be explored and exploited.
Mm-hmm. And out of curiosity, how does World Bank measure the impact of its investments in developing countries like Nepal?
Well, it's not only Nepal. Measurement is an eternal issue, because there are many methodological issues. But I think if you take a step back, and as an organization that is in the business of long-term development, I would just look at the long-term trend in, for example, poverty, how it has been reducing. We're looking at health, and here we are looking for the World Bank, our engagement is not so much the support for one disease where there is maybe a vaccine or the. We are trying to support health systems. So there you can see, can we actually help in our support from the teaching of nurses to their deployment in hospitals. Same with doctors. Can we actually have their a whole support for the value chain in these areas? And then you will see how many people will graduate, how many will get a job in this area. In the transport sector, you will see that are the roads built, sometimes on the maintenance, how well is that being done? We have been in the energy area. How can we support countries in increasing their installed capacity? It can also be how well do we support in the running of these companies to provide a regular electricity to the citizens. And here you see that in many countries they were challenged because of poorly managed companies that then didn't provide regular electricity services. So you can then see, depending in which area you are, that you are defining some performance indicators that can be tracked and then can be reported on. So what we also do is we try to have these narratives and what we have been doing in terms of maybe analytical support, financial support, also convening support, and what then ultimately the agreement was that an agreement to have a new investment program in this area, and you can measure what has been achieved. Can it be also in the more softer part, in the social sectors, have we actually helped build there the systems that can A, be sustained over time, B, can actually help, for example, kids in school, but not only the enrollment. Can we actually also look also at the quality education, meaning are the children really learning, or are they too passively in school? We mentioned this, and we call that, for example, learning poverty, when kids cannot read or write after a couple of years of attendance. What are then the necessary steps to be taken that these kids can learn and in the end successfully graduate from school and integrate themselves in the labor market? So there are a lot of examples that, but this part is very prominent, including here in the discussions, because for the donors it's important that they can also go to their parliaments and tell actually the stories, the success stories of engagement, and that there are indeed results, and it touches lives of the people in the beneficiary countries.
Let's come to the central issue that's concerning the world at this moment, climate change. Now, climate change, as you know, is one of the major issue of concern, one that poses a significant impact or threat to the entire South Asian region for various reasons that you are well aware of. And this is reverberated in the IDA 21st, the inaugural meeting, inaugural session, and also has been reflected in almost all international forums these days. Now, what specific strategies and projects does the World Bank have in place to promote climate resilience and sustainable development in South Asia?
Well, we have many projects on this. We are, for example, in the case of IDA, the International Development Association, climate financing has become increasingly important. So take the last 2 years, we provided about $26 billion in climate financing, only in that fund. That makes IDA the largest climate financier for low-income countries. And in general, in the World Bank, if you looked at overall, our financing is in the order of $40 billion per year, only for climate related. What do we finance? That can be in the area on air pollution measurement. We can finance on renewable energy. We finance on also climate smart agriculture, which can actually really reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So there are different areas in which we could be involved. Forestry is another example. And we try to measure now how much our share is climate financing in the total financing. That was maybe in around 2010, 2012. Our financing was probably in the order of 15–20% at most for climate-related activities. Today it is over 40%. Next year we would like to be at 45%. So we have been systematically increasing our climate financing because we also believe that climate financing is also smart development financing. They are part of the same coin. If these climate-related events intensify, they will affect communities. They will destroy their livelihoods. So therefore, it is important that actually the necessary investments are taking place so that we can actually help them and also avoid that communities are negatively impacted and that they can actually adjust to these new realities. This will remain a very important part of our support program. What I would like to emphasize, however, is also that the World Bank is not only about climate financing. It is equally a development bank that is laser sharp, focused on poverty reduction, and particularly of extreme poverty, as well as that we are, increasingly engaged also with countries that have unfortunately been affected by violence and conflict. That are what we call the fragile and conflict-affected countries. Those programs have also been expanded because the number of countries in conflict have unfortunately increased, and they require attention and support.
Finally, let's come to the goals. What is your long-term vision for the World Bank's role in Nepal and South Asia? Or you could rather share your insights or thoughts on how do you see this region evolving over the next decade with the support of the World Bank's initiatives?
Well, I think that when you are in the development business, you should be an optimist. And I think that certainly in Asia, Asia and countries have proven the world that sometimes the initial thoughts about that, things would be very complicated. In fact, over decades, they have actually transformed their countries. If you look at your own country, where it was 30 years ago, 60 years ago, you will be amazed how this country has changed over the time. And sometimes you say you would like to have it quicker, and that's a nice discussion, but you need to also take that longer term perspective. We believe that as a long-term partner, we don't want to be a partner, that independently comes with the ideas what should be done in this country, but that the ideas for the future are being discussed and shaped in this country, and then the international community can accompany Nepal in these aspirations. We are very happy to accompany you on this. we feel there is a very strong basis of trust, but also long-term a record of working closely together. And that is where the World Bank is all about. It is about working together. It's about actually also caring as well as listening what is important in this country and how we can best adjust these programs to the needs in Nepal. And that is why we have a strong country office here that has its ear on the ground and can then listen to the concerns, the wishes of the Nepalese, and in this way we can then formulate our program in a way that best responds to your needs as opposed to our needs.
Thank you indeed, Mr. Trotsenburg. Thank you for these insightful sharings and especially for steering the vision for these very, very crucial initiatives. And we are very much sure, as we wish for the success of IDA 21, that the world at the moment is very much looking forward to the positive impacts of the decisions that are taken here in Kathmandu in these 4 days. And yes, we do hope to extend welcome to you here in Kathmandu again and again. Thank you for your time. And dear viewers, that's it from this edition of NTV Talk series. Until next time, from the entire crew,